All right. Good.
Either way, here we go, man. Game is 3:25 p.m. Central Time. Well, what do you call that? A mini prime time? What do we call it?
We call it late afternoon.
Late afternoon. Okay, it's prime though.
It's no.
I've always thought that.
I
as
would
a
just
player.
call it the national TV.
Well, there's less games, which means more eyes on you. Fair?
It's not something we're used to.
Fair? Yeah, see, and
Not
that's
something
why
we're
I'm
used to.
celebrating it.
Because the last
Don't take this
325
from me.
game in Nissan Stadium was there wasn't one last year.
Don't take this from me. This is enough time for you to really get fried in the parking lot before going into Nissan. Tell me I'm lying. You can
It's a good way to start the season.
You can go to the late service of church, okay? That's what I'm telling you, and still make it here for the game.
You could hit the 11 a.m. and be just fine.
Embrace this is what I'm telling you.
You don't have to leave at the end of the word on Sunday.
There
on
we
Sunday
go.
Morning.
No
You can
rushing
hear
out.
you can hear the whole message.
No rushing out
That's
on
right.
Sunday. Right now, the Titans, the line is -5.5 for the Titans. I'm not sure if it changed as of yesterday. But Brian
Opened at
Dable.
4.5.
Brian Dable is their head coach, first-time head coach from Buffalo. You remember him. He helped develop Josh Allen, man. He was one of the brain pieces behind Buffalo getting back on track, and says he wants to do the same things with Daniel Jones. Whether he proves it or not, we're going to see in game one, man, and throughout the rest of the season. Here we go right here. The OC on paper, and I say on paper because I feel like Brian Dable will have his sprinkles on the offense in general, but it's Mike Kafka. Spent time with Kansas City. This is
That's
very
an interesting
unique.
hire for them.
Yes, it is. Well, you look at his lineage, man. He's been with Patrick Mahomes, helped groom him. He was the quarterback coach for Patrick Mahomes. Again, not saying this is going to correlate over to Daniel Jones, but he helped develop that guy. And I know there was a lot of talent within Patrick Mahomes anyway. And he was their passing game coordinator. So it kind of like the first game of the year, you really don't know what you're going to see. Preseason doesn't show much at all, man. But just as far as quarterback development, Joe Judge, he wasn't into that world of developing players at all. He was only interested in having his coaches run gassers and do push-ups after practice.
And hiring former Tennessee head coaches.
He had
Derek Dooley, Jeremy Pruitt. He had Alex Shearer,
sure did.
Tennessee's former defensive coordinator. He had a lot of Tennessee guys.
So that's what I'm saying as far as stability goes now. You got Dable there who understands it. Look where Buffalo is now. And you got also Mike Kafka also as the OC/quarterback coach for Daniel Jones. We'll see what that looks like in game one. Their defensive coordinator, you guys know him the same way as I know him. I played this guy 2 times a year, man. Wink Martindale. There was a lot of people that said they didn't want him to leave. They rather the Greg Roman to be the one that's out.
It's a household name.
And Baltimore, yes. You know the
Absolutely
name.
is.
Wink Martindale, man. Been around the league for a long time with the Raiders, Broncos, and longtime Ravens coach. Reason to hate him, okay? Guess what, Titans fan? You hate him, and so do I, okay?
that's right.
We are mutual on that one. But this is the thing. But Baltimore has always had a good defense. You can't deny that, can you, Will?
It's an aggressive defense as well.
Aggressive. They have types that they go after, and they have a scheme in which they run, and guess what? They will try to beat you up. So this offensive line, you better come ready to play. Skilled players, guess what? This isn't a Greg Williams type, but it is a very Greg Williams type of box you're going to be living in this weekend. Last year, 4-13 under Joe Judge, ended the season with 6 straight losses. So
the new regime with Brian Dable is interesting.
Yeah.
And when you look at Saquon Barkley's numbers since that rookie season in 2018, 1,307 rushing yards in 2018. He's essentially matched his 2018 totals in the last 3 seasons combined. A lot of that is due to injuries. It was banged up again last season. Before he got hurt, he was pretty good.
yeah,
But as a whole in 2021, just wasn't great.
right.
Rushing grade was 65.7 per Pro Football Focus. That was number 43 among 50 running backs with 100-plus carries in 2021. And in 2018, he had 31 missed tackles forced. He has 21 in the last 3 seasons combined. So a lot of that, Ramon, is based off of the offensive line that hasn't been good. It's been inconsistent. But he was still kind of efficient last season. 3.7 yards per carry. That matched Alvin Kamara and James Conner. More yards after contact per carry than David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift a season ago. And he averaged more yards per route run than Najee Harris and Dalvin Cook. So the efficiency is still there to a point. So when you continue that evaluation process and look at the offensive line,
Yeah.
this is where the Titans have the biggest advantage over the New York Giants.
They do.
I think in any specific matchup on the field.
Yeah.
Andrew Thomas has been better.
Yes, he has. The high draft. This is the thing. They got 2 high draft picks
They do.
out of the SEC. That's Evan Neal and also Andrew Thomas, man. Both of them. I think Evan Neal was, 4th overall, and Andrew Thomas was 7th overall, if I'm not mistaken.
Thomas was 4th overall. I think you had a flip.
4. Whew. Top 10 picks, man, at tackles. But again, you got Evan Neal being a rookie. We've seen the highlight clips of him in Alabama. I don't know if this is an Alex Leatherwood type of situation where he tap out super early in college and end up getting traded. But that kid has been an athlete, transformed himself, played a little bit of guard, and then he can play tackle. If you look at his pathway through the University of Alabama, Evan Neal, that is, he was proven that he can be a master of almost every position. He is that good of an athlete. But this is the NFL, young sir. You have to see Danico Autry. You have to see all of these outside linebackers that's going to be rushing up against you. Again, I say this. The offensive line is full of talent. They have some draft picks sprinkled in with some veterans. Those veterans are Mark Glowinski, former Colt.
Good run blocker.
7 years in the league.
At the right guard position.
Yep. And you also have John Feliciano. Love saying that last name. Let me say that again. John Feliciano.
It's fun to say.
There we go.
He's the most interesting part of this offensive line to me because John Feliciano comes over from Buffalo.
Yep.
8th-year player, signs a 1-year deal in New York. Has 31 starts over the last 3 seasons for Buffalo at right guard. 2 of his 43 starts are at center. Yeah. And he said this offseason, for those first 4 years, I got to learn center, and I fell in love with it. The responsibility on your hands at that position. Tell me about the difficulty, Ramon Foster, of moving from guard to center. John Feliciano claims he's more comfortable there. It's hard to simulate that comfort, I feel like, until you've done it
in a
week
game.
after week after week, especially within the context of a new offense.
Center, to me, is a very special position. Like, I never played it. The responsibility, I was learning to play it the same way that he was as a young guy, too, because, well, there's the old motto, the more you can do, the longer you stay around. And I guarantee that's why he was learning to play center, was because, all right, I got to find a way to stick around this league. With that being said, guard, there's one less issue you have to worry about, and that's snapping the ball.
Right.
Okay, and that's where I feel like that could be an issue for him. He's a guy that's, never had to do this over the stretch of a season. He hadn't done this in a very long time anyway. The responsibility of making the calls, setting the line, snapping the ball, and movement all at the same time, that's something that if he does this, okay, and throughout the season, okay, he can make a new niche for himself. But with that being said, well, he's got to go with Tierra right over him. He's got to go with Jeff right over him, Naquan right over him, okay, Deshaun. Like, he's got to be able to manage this. This isn't the preseason. This isn't camp where you know your guys either. I think it can be an issue, Will, if they try to expose it. Okay, how does he adjust to snap hand reaching? How does he adjust to snapping the ball and reaching somebody on the outside? Does he snap the ball and get off the line of scrimmage? Is the offensive line deeper than he is, and he's set still at the line of scrimmage? There's a lot of this that goes on that with guys that played that position, they know the ins and outs of it. Now, I will say this, though, as far as him playing that position, when it comes down to him understanding, that may be a good thing for him, because when I went from tackle to guard, I understood the offense way better.
You knew another position and how that functioned next to you.
Oh, right. Yeah. And it can be helpful, but Will, this is center.
Yeah, and it's week 1, too.
This is, what if you're backed up at the 1?
Sure.
This is, okay, we got to snap the ball to get into the end zone. What about goal line sets? Like, how many reps could he have gotten in preseason to make him more comfortable?
Well, in this offensive line, 4 of the 5 of them are new.
Yeah.
Everybody other than Andrew Thomas, who had the 12th best pass block grade per Pro Football Focus, the number 4 overall pick out of Georgia. And he's a good tackle. Mm-hmm. That's a big challenge for Bud Dupree.
Yes,
a young tackle that's in year 3.
Oh.
He's feeling more confident at this point. He's stacking good performances on one another after last season. The problem, though, Ramon Foster, is who's playing next to him.
Yeah, buddy.
The left guard position, I think, might be the weakest on this Giants team, considering the injury they have at that position and the inexperience that they have around the left guard. Mm-hmm. Shane Lemieux starts the season on injured reserve. Yep. The Giants have had a couple of options at left guard, but Ben Bredesen has won that job. Mm-hmm. Fourth round pick out of Michigan in 2020. Last season, Ramon, he had a 22.7 pass block grade from Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a person that doesn't want to major in the analytics, right? I feel like Pro Football Focus grades and the analytics are not meant to be primary sources. They're meant to be secondary sources to add on top of analysis that we've already done.
Facts.
Unless it's a really, really high or really, really, really low number.
That's really, really low.
A 22.7 grade as a pass blocker is about as low as you're going to get.
That's really, really
for
low.
somebody starting in the National Football
Even
League.
if their algorithm is a little off, like you still got a little bit of an issue right there.
That's an outlier.
Yeah, it is an outlier. Here's a guy also, man, he was traded from Baltimore to the Giants for a fifth-round draft pick. So they thought something up, but Baltimore revamped their offensive line this offseason too. He's got 18 regular season games with 1 start. You know, like I know, again, I'm not going to push back and say, stars aren't born every year. I live by that. But this could be an issue for an offense that's always kind of, as of late, the last couple of years, have struggled with the run game, with protections. And you go get a guy like this who's a first-year starter. He's 6'5", playing guard. I mean, he's a big-body guy, but it's a matter of how much can he hold his own. What does it look like on a week-to-week basis, especially week 1 on the road? And I know Nissan is going to be humping with noise, man. So –
Jonathan Schaefer just quickly reacted.
I'm sorry, it's going to be doing phrasing. What's it going to be doing?
Jumping, humping, loud, don't matter, man.
Whoa. Why are we going down to Broadway right now? What are we doing?
Hey,
Come
man,
on now.
we got to call it. We got to call it as it is until we get this new stadium, Shay. Then we'll be respectable in the stadium, right?
I'm disrespectful.
Good Lord.
I told you we might get a little ratchet.
We were doing
today.
so well.
No,
I'm
said
kidding.
we said we was gonna get a little ratchet today, did we not? But that is an issue right there,
Just
though.
don't know how Woo Girls got into that.
Well, and no, that's tomorrow when I'm on my pedal tavern. The interesting thing is, oh wow. The interesting thing is, though, Ramon, that when you couple the lowest grade the Giants have on the offensive side of the football, and the biggest question mark that they have going into week 1 with the biggest thing that we know about the Titans defense, in the fact that Jeffrey Simmons is going to have to play an even bigger role in this defense without Harold Landry on the other side. Jeffrey Simmons and Bud Dupree are going to line up on the right side of this defense and are going to line up next to one another, especially in those pass rush situations on third down. So it seems like this is an opportunity for Bud Dupree to show us just how healthy and how confident he is in his second year as a Tennessee Titan. Because he's the one that's going to be on the right side of the defense, lining up against Andrew Thomas. Now, Evan Neal is going to get Rashad Weaver, Tadeko Autry, whatever cast of characters the Titans have, going up against New York's young rookie right tackle, which means that it's Dupree. It's best on best.
Yeah, it is.
It's Dupree on Thomas. So how much pressure is on Andrew Thomas then to make up for the lack of experience at the left guard position?
A good bit, simply because he's got to make sure he's secured. Like passing off games, which the Titans do, being on the same level is something I don't think people recognize when it comes to playing the offensive line, too. The right side and the left side have to be on the same level. And if it's a full line slide, you all have to be together in sequence as far as passing off games. And this is the thing, too. But he's got meat in practice, okay? So much so that I had to be like, hey, bud, we on
relax.
the same team, right? But it'd be one of those high intensity types of periods.
Sure.
And I tell people all the time, like, you've seen Bud in person. Like, Bud's what, like 6'4"?
He's one of the taller edge rushers I've seen on a practice field.
And legitimately like 255 to 265 is like Bud is
quick.
A thick dude and quick in space.
Yep.
So this is the thing and where Bredesen can get in trouble. Bredesen can get in trouble at the left guard with Andrew Thomas is this. Bud runs those games so freaking hard.
The Titans love
he's
that
probably
stuff.
going to air hole Ben Bredesen so bad to where it's just like, all right, dude, we got to figure this out. We have to be on the same level. Like that ET that we're speaking of where Bud crashes down and maybe Jeff comes around the edge or somebody up the middle comes around the edge. Like that's an issue right there for a new group that's starting together on the offensive line if they're not on the same page. Remember we spoke about Roger McCreary being in the secondary. Like,
sure,
you got young guys on the outside edge. You lost one of your main rushers, so guess what? The guys up front have to make up for that. Whenever there is a guy like this, and there will be more throughout the season, you got to expose him. You got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback to where it helps your back end also.
Going to be interesting to see the way the Titans use those games and those stunts on the defensive line as well in creating more space and more time for their defensive secondary. Ramon, you know that the Titans love to run those twists and love those games on the front. I wonder if they even try to dip more into that bag a little bit without Harold Landry. Like the way you create pressure, it's either deception, speed, and power.
Yep.
Well, you don't have as much speed around the edge.
Right.
Do you try to create a little bit more deception on the front end?
And this is the thing about what you're saying. Like, yes, I think you do have to do that, but you also got to play a little bit of bully ball too to establish. Like, you used to go in a game with certain teams, and you're like, okay, no matter what, this gonna be a fight. Like, if you were going against bigger body guys, like the way the Titans are right now, minus Harold, then you say to yourself, oh my, we gonna have to fight. Like, this is an alley fight right here.
Send a message early.
You got to send a message,
Sure.
and then you get into your rhythm. So, yeah, Will, I'm with you on that one. But while fighting the Titans, while the defensive line is fighting, you can't stick to a man. Get on and then get off of him, like, as quick as you can. Like,